What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel as well as another video. So if you tuned into the last video, you would have noticed that I did have two bikes in this garage, and now I am down to one. That's right, the Road King sold. It is now off to its new owner, who I am hoping is enjoying it even half as much as I did. But on to bigger and better things here. So we're going to start on this Street Glide. And obviously in the last video you watched me kind of tear through this thing really quickly, give it a little once over, make it look a little bit better, which I think we achieved. This thing's looking pretty sweet. I started rolling it around in my head here, figuring out what I want to do with this bike, which way I want to go with it. And I've kind of decided I'd love to get rid of as much of this chrome as possible. Not that I don't love chrome, I do love chrome, but I don't like cleaning chrome. And you know, in this day and age, black sells just as easy as chrome does, and in some cases it sells easier. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to take a lot of this chrome off this bike, and we're going to go to black. That's what I've kind of gone with. So black and blue kind of goes together, and who knows down the road if I painted another color, I'm sure I can make it look just as good there too. But so yeah, I'm not going to completely turn this bike black. There's a lot of stuff that I'm probably not going to touch, like rocker covers, things like that. Still holding out on the exhaust. I'd really like to put a nice black exhaust on this, but little stupid things like, you know, air cleaner, floorboards, pedals, you know, crash bars, forks are definitely going to get painted black. I'll buy some new bells for the forks, and yeah, just a bunch of different stuff. Whatever I can do cost effectively to kind of turn this thing from chrome to black. So I've already started. I got a nice little pile amassed here of just general stuff, some service stuff, some light upgrades, and of radio and speakers as well. But what I'm after today is going to be what we're going to be doing in this video, and that's this box right here. This box here came from Dominator Industries, and that's going to be the apes upgrade that I'm going to put on this thing. So I just cannot deal with these handlebars. I mean, I just literally got off this bike about 15 minutes ago, and I hate these bars. I'll tell you, after you had a bike that has a set of apes on it, there's no going back. So that's what we're going to start doing. We made it nice and cherry looking, and now we're going to tear right into it. Perfect. So the goal is to, over this video here, is to go through and replace these bars with the upgraded, I went with 12s, which was exactly what I had on the King. And they were comfortable. I like the height, I like the feel, I liked everything. So I said, why not? And I went with another set of those. But there's a little catch here. So it's gonna be slightly different than if you watch the video series of when I put those apes on the Road King. This should prove to be possibly easier. We shall see, but that's what they advertise. So let me go ahead and get this stuff out of the box. I'm going to show you exactly what I got, what I paid. I'll tell you what I paid for it. And then you can watch me struggle to install it and decide if you want to get that for your bike. So, all right, let me get this stuff up onto the stand here, and we'll take a look at what we got. Now, if you watched me wire up the Road King, you'll realize that it was kind of a mismatched, mishmash pile of parts that I came across. I got the bars off a buddy, and you know, I basically made my own harness, and I went all through all that kind of deal. Bought the lengthened cables, the lengthened brake line, all that good stuff, and you know, it was what it was. But and I got the job done in the long run, but it kind of sucked, not gonna lie. So when I was looking for what I was gonna buy for this bike, I decided that there was a kit out there that I could just buy that had everything all together. Well, I was planning on doing just that, and I came across Dominator Industries, and they had this setup right here that you see. So I went with the 1.5 Big Daddy Meathook 12-inch apes in gloss black. But what the cool part is they sell this kit. So it's like everything you need to do in order to do this. So lengthened brake cable, lengthened clutch cable. We'll give you everything you're going to need: heat shrink, banjo bolts, all the appropriate washers, a bunch of the heat shrink connectors, scan code in order to get their instructions, and the apes. Now, the cool part about these apes is they are 100% pre-wired, so everything is right there and ready to go. As far as cost-wise, they weren't cheap, but they weren't expensive if you take into consideration everything that you need to do in order to do this. So if you guys watched me in the video series doing those apes on the other bike, I mean, my God, I was over there with weed whacker line and whatever I could find to yank those things through the bars. It was just a nightmare. It was, I mean, I made it happen and it worked and all, but it wasn't fun, I can tell you that. So, when I saw this, I was like, you know what, might as well give it a shot. And you're actually seeing, not the first unboxing, but I mean, because I did go through and made sure that everything was there, but I kind of looked at it, but I haven't taken these, you know, out of the package just yet. So I'm going to go ahead and get this done. Let me get these things out so we can get a visual look at them and then see exactly what goes into putting them on. I can tell you they package these things very, very well. So yeah, $799. So $799 is what got me all of this. $7.99 free shipping, and they were here within, I don't know, probably like a week. So pretty impressed so far. Time will tell when we go to put them on the bike, but as of right yet, they look like really, really nice quality. So let me get these things unboxed. We'll take a look and see what we got. Man, I have got to tell you, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but these are probably the glossiest bars I think I've ever laid eyes on. The finish on these things is absolutely amazing. I am very, very impressed. I have yet to find, and I went all over these things, a single defect at all in the finish on these things. So very, very happy. I did fail to mention before, if you go to order these things, if you're interested in them, they do ask you if you have ABS or non-ABS. This is an ABS bike, so I obviously checked off that I have ABS, and that affects the wiring, obviously. Yeah, they are pretty much a plug-and-play situation. Well, at this end anyway. You are going to have to cut your harness at this end, but they do preload the heat shrink. Everything's ready to go, and I did peruse the instructions for this job. They give you the wiring instructions, so they give you all, you know, what goes to what and all that good stuff, but they don't give you any kind of tear down instruction. I guess, you know, obviously they're assuming that you have enough mechanical aptitude in order to do this. Otherwise, you would seek out professional installation. So, yeah. Well, now that we've got them out of the box, the only thing left to do is start tearing into this thing. So why don't we get that done? What do you say, Jim? Let's do it. Let's do it. With the bars now separated from the motorcycle, we can now continue on. However, I started thinking about this. Since I am going to be painting these, I'm going to want to pull them. And it makes no sense to continue on putting the handlebars in if I'm just going to have to go back through after and later on and rip it apart again. So it's now going to become a front end makeover, if you will. On top of that, I'm sitting on this little tiny jack here. I need to swap it out for that lift over there because this is not going to accommodate me for what I want to do. I want to be able to strap this thing down tight and make sure everything's good so we don't have any accidental tip overs. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing swapped out and then pull this front end apart here a little bit further. Might as well deconstruct it completely, right? Let's do it. And just like that, the forks are off. And also, wave that little magic wand, and boom, they're painted. Look at that. It's funny how that happens. Also got my fork bells in, going with the same ones I had on the Road King because I like the looks of them so much. So we got that done. Also got the front wheel polished up, looking pretty sweet. And I went back over that fender and made sure I got all the areas that I couldn't get in the last video. So we are now currently ready to set this stuff all back in place so that we can continue on with these bars right here. So without further ado, let's do it. And we got the wheel back on. Everything's all set. Forks look good. Bells look decent. Wheel shined up nice. I got the axle nut covers on there. Looking pretty slick. And I'm very, very happy with that. So it's back to the bars here. We have a lot of stuff to do here to get these things set into place. We got wires we're going to have to cut. Lines we got to lengthen and all that good stuff. So let's get to it. Okay, so we got everything set up here on the table. We're ready to go. Go through these instructions real quick. With the kit comes pretty much everything you need to do this. Starting up, step one. Says in this step, we'll take a moment to inspect how your bars are set up when they arrive. Both of them are pre-wired, or both wiring harnesses are pre-wired, pre-cut, and have solder seal heat shrink connectors pre-installed on each wire within the harness. Well, there's the first problem, because they're not. They're actually right here in a pile. They come in a bag, but again, they say that they pre-install them, but they aren't pre-installed, so we have to do that. That's not a big deal. Note how the wires are staggered on both harnesses, so shorter and longer or whatever, so that everything can be pulled through once everything's heat shrunk together. So starting with everything, we got to go ahead and cut the existing control harness so that we have, they say, approximately 10 inches from the controls out. And then we're going to go ahead and pull the stock casing off there. Then we're going to go through and we're going to actually chop some of the wires shorter so that they can match the staggered part on this. So I'm going to go ahead and get these things done. I'll get these cut to 10 inches and remove the stock casing and start cutting that stuff back. All right, let's do it. With the stock casings cut back, heat shrink applied, all the wires cut to the corresponding links that match up with the handlebars, and everything stripped back, we're now ready to start installing these soldering connectors here. So some of these wires are going to have to get twisted together. In the instructions, it tells you which ones have to be kind of mated up and installed into one connector. So we're going to go ahead and get that done, and as soon as I get that finished, we'll see what we have. All right, let's do it. Well, after a little fooling around here, got everything all wired up, good to go. Everything is heat shrunk. I did run a little short here. They're supplied pieces that they gave me. I did come up a little short on either side. Had to make that up in some electrical tape, but that should be okay. I did mount these bars back on the bike and double check to make sure that everything worked, high, low, directionals, what have you, and actually kicked the bike to try to turn it over. Made sure that that was working as well, so we should be a go there. The only thing I did not check was the throttle, but I have no fear because these are connected and this is their supplied harness in there, so I should be good to go. Next thing to do here is going to be to the old push-pull method here. We got to get these wires through the bars because obviously this amount of length is not sufficient. So going to go ahead and lube it up. Now in the instructions they do recommend that you use Cable Life cable lube, clutch cable lube. I don't have any of that on hand, but what I do have is good old fluid film. So I used this on the Road King and it worked really slick actually. So hopefully that will be the case with these two as well. The only thing that they do say that, you know, fluid film can sometimes cause some oil resistant rubbers to swell a little bit, but I think I'm going to be okay. Never had an issue, like I said, with the other bike, so should be good. All right, I'm going to get set up here and try to push these things and pull them and all that good stuff through the bars, work them in, and I'll get back to you and show you what I got. Wish me luck. And they are now through. That actually went smoother than I anticipated, easier than the Road King for sure. I used tons of that fluid film all through the bars. I just finally got it all off my hands and off the bars here, but and did the old push-pull method, going in nice and easy. Still got fluid film all over the place, and they went pretty good. I did end up wrapping these things in electrical tape after I was done because the heat shrink did get a little chewed up from the inside edge, even with all of that fluid film all over there. But got them through, and I figured, you know, this side came out a lot cleaner, but make them match, whatever. Ran the throttle through as well, pulled that out. This one came out fairly unscathed, a couple little small rips in the corners there, but they should be okay. yeah, it's good to go. Everything's decent. So these things are pretty much ready to get mounted up on the bike, so I can start working on that clutch cable and that lengthened brake line. So let me get these things back on the bike, and hopefully for the last time, and we'll go from there. With the bars firmly secured in their new home here, we can start on doing some of this other stuff. Next thing I'm going to have to do here is the clutch and brake line. And I think I'm going to start with the clutch first, but this lift is going to be in my way. So I'm going to work solely off of this stand here and get some of this stuff out of the way. I can't get into any of this stuff. It's packed in there too tightly, and with the straps and everything, it's just going to cause issues, so we got to do that. So let me get set up here, and we'll start changing some of the stuff out. I do have to say though, man, those bars look sweet. I really like them. All right, let's get her done. Okay, and the clutch cable is all installed and routed. I went through and hooked it up, kind of preemptively adjusted it. It's going to need some final adjustment when I'm done. I went ahead and remounted the old grip and the old lever on there. I don't have the new ones yet. They're on order. Should be here relatively soon, but I can just go ahead and change those out later on. Next up is going to be to tackle this brake line. This brake line runs from the master cylinder all the way down under the tank, follows through and goes to the ABS module that's on the side there. I've heard some horror stories about how this is going to go. Some people say, you know, you got to take it to a dealer after you're done and have them use a digital bleeder to get any air out of the ABS. And then I've heard other people like just replace it like you would replace any other normal brake line and make sure you bleed it out real well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try that. I mean, obviously that's all I can really do, and just keep my fingers crossed that it actually works and that I don't run into more issues. But, you know, hey, that's the only way you learn. So yeah, gotta tackle that next. I didn't put my heat shields back on. A couple of the clamps were pretty roached out on there, so I'm gonna run to the hardware store later on and pick up a couple of stainless steel ones for that, so that rust won't be an issue down the road again. But yeah, I'd say I'm gonna start shredding this thing. You know, seat, side covers, tank, all that good stuff in order to get this brake line replaced. So without further ado, let's do it. Okay, with everything taken apart here, we're ready to go, start putting this brake line in. I think the course of action is going to be to preemptively run our brake line up where it needs to go. Then we are going to unhook, and hopefully be able to introduce new fluid into that brake line, hook it back up into that ABS module, and pray to God that we don't find any air. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and I'll let you know how it all turns out. Let's do it. Well, I'm pretty sure that was successful. What we ended up doing was we unhooked our line from the master cylinder. We kind of let it hang. No fluid came out. We hooked our new line up to the master cylinder, had already had it routed into place, and we just allowed all that fluid to work its way down through. And then as soon as we started seeing fluid, we just kept purging it through here. We had to fill this a couple times. And then at the very last minute, we just unhooked this, removed it, and then hooked our new line up to it. I didn't see any air going into the system at all. It was, the fluid was right up to the top right here on the ABS module. Then we went through and just did the old squeeze, tapped the lines a bunch of times. We had some air bubbles that did come out of it, but I mean, after, a few minutes of doing that, no air coming out, and I have what feels like a really good brake going on here. So everything seems to have worked out. Again, I won't know until I actually go to ride this thing. We'll find out. But yeah, brake seems to be grabbing very, very well. So I would consider that done. The only thing I was a little concerned about, this line came through with a chrome on one end here, and then it had a black wrapped kind of look on this end. And I wasn't really sure if there was a certain end that was supposed to go there, but it's a brake line, so it's both ends are the same. And looking at the way this sits compared to where the old one was, that bend kind of needed to be there. So I'm assuming I put that in correctly. Not to mention I get the nice blacked out line here at this end, which is kind of a plus, but pretty sure that's going to be just fine. I did notice, man, after I took the tank off, this is all the areas that I really couldn't get when I was cleaning this thing the last time. You can definitely see where I started and stopped. I'm going to go through, and before I put this thing back together, I'm going to go in and give it a little clean on the old top end there, make sure it looks good, and then yeah, I think it's ready to slap this thing back together. So let me get that done, and I'll get right back to you. All right, and we are all back together. This thing's looking pretty good. I did go through and shine up the rocker covers. Those things came out really nicely. The only thing I have not put back together is the heat shields because I don't have the clamps. I still got to go get those. And I'm going to leave this apart at this point here. Reason for that is in the next video we're going to go through and we're going to tackle this radio and speakers. I have the new radio and speakers in my slowly dwindling pile of parts over there. Yeah, going to replace this rather anemic sounding audio system that Harley has installed on this bike. That should be good, and I have a few more trinkets that we're going to put on here that should finish up this front end. So the front end makeover should be pretty close to being complete here, and then we can kind of just move through and continue changing other stuff to black and bolting on other things that I've purchased to transform this bike into something that I'll really enjoy cruising around on this summer. So yeah, as of today though, I would say handlebar is complete. And with that, that's going to bring this video to a close. Join me in the next video when we start getting into the audio system as well as bolting on some of these other items that I've purchased in hopes to finish up this front end completely so that we can then move our way through the back of the bike and hopefully have this thing finished up by the time some good riding weather hits, which around here is not looking all that promising. If you haven't already, do me a favor, give me that thumbs up, subscribe, as well as hit the bell for notifications so you know when more videos like this are coming out. I got a big mess I got to clean up here in the garage, so I better get to it. But as always, keep that shiny side up, and I'll see you guys all on the next video.